Hi everyone, this is Sandy Reese with StampItCrew.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Thanks for joining me. We have another live video tutorial today on this beautiful sunny Thursday. Okay, before I get started, I just want to share with you what I've been doing the last few days. I've had been doing a lot of cutting for class and prepping, and then I had on this paper, let me show you this one. We're using this in our card class this month, is the Traditions of Christmas Suite. So we're going to use this paper right here, and it has these like swags of flowers. So I had die cut the flowers just to save some time. And what I was left with was a lot of partial flowers around the edge, plus all these little red flowers. And I didn't want to throw them away, so I die cut the rest of the flowers on the edges, even though they were partial. And then I hand cut all the little red flowers. And I had some leftover, I had a ton of strips of red cardstock that I cut down. And I had, this is from the Nest of Winter designer paper. I had a lot of strips of this. I cut that down, and then I always have tons of half-inch strips of white, so I stamped a ton of these, and I pulled out some of my retired embellishments and made tags. So I just want to show you, a lot of these are the same. Here's one where I used a little bit of the edge with Merry Christmas. I made so many of these. Hold on, they're still coming. They went, once I cut, got everything cut, they went together really quickly. There's some that were cut from the bottom, from the side. I still have a bunch of these left over right here. They're in a little baggie. I'm saving because I had I used all my little red flowers. So I made a bunch of those. I don't even know how many's in there. And then I was looking at my other scraps, and I had, I made a couple of fall ones with leftover. I had a strip of this left over, and a couple of these basic beige squares. So I made a couple of those. I was out of tags for my door prizes. And then I had, how many of these do I have left? I had some strips of this designer paper. I had strips of Night of Navy. I had a bunch of these and a bunch of these little die cut pieces because I always cut extra for class. This one I put it underneath. You can't see it as well, so I put it on top here. But I just stamped those, made a bunch of those tags. Here's one that had a little bit left over. I had one of these big tags, so I made that. And then I had cut for Halloween class, my Halloween treat class, and I had a bunch of these little pop-out character. Well, these two I had previous die cut. They're not pop-outs, but this was for my bingo class. I had these left over, and then I had these left over from something else, and so I made a couple of those cute little tags. And then after Halloween treat class, I had, we're using some of the die cut pieces, and I had a bunch left over. So I just went through and using extra leftover cardstock. These are all for my scrap drawer. Leftover designer series paper pieces. I just made a ton of tags for Halloween. I'm going to have a bunch of these. Will all be ready for next year. So that, I don't know, that's probably 50 tags at least. And then I had a little bit of this left over from some scraps from that bingo class as well. So I must be doing something at all times. So I had so many extra pieces. I said I'm just going to make up a bunch of tags because I really needed some. So I just wanted to share that with you. Who do we have on? Hi, Brenda. Okay, so today we have, just want to let you know, we have 3 new kits out this month. We have a little holiday scrapbook kit. We have a beautiful card kit for Christmas. We have, and then we have a tag kit, super cute. This is on my order. It's got little nutcracker tags, and I'm gonna get those, make those for my kids for Christmas, because my kids are all getting the same thing, but I thought it would be really, really cute to put those special big tags. They're nice big tags too. So we had that come out this month. We have a new class. This is the first time Stampin' Up's ever sold a class. If you get my newsletter, you saw that on my newsletter the other day. And I don't know, it should be interesting. It uses this. Now the class does not include products. It includes a PDF, a list of supplies, and then they use this Traditions of Christmas suite. So if you have this suite, or you can watch the class and use other supplies if you want. So, but in class they're going to be using this. So you might want to get some of this if you love it, which I do. Okay, so class, we had, tomorrow I think is the last day to sign up for our free World Card Making Day. It's an online event. It's Saturday, one day only. You can watch afterwards if you can't watch Saturday, but today, or I think tomorrow's the last day that you can sign up for that. You can go to the Stampin' Up website and you can sign up. Super easy to do. Okay, I think that's all the announcements for today. So we're going to get started. We're going to do a cute little treat box. We're using the Pattern Tags dies. This is on page 57 in the mini catalog. And it's just a small one. You know, they have all the suites first, and they have the bundles, and we have some of our special tools. So Pattern Tags dies, which I love because, you know, as you just saw, I love tags. And this has a solid tag, and then it has these three really pretty overlay tags. And it has a bow, it has, you know, like a little hole punch thing, or like a reinforcer. I'm looking to see if they use that. I don't see that on any of the samples, but it's like a little tag reinforcer thing. And yeah, this is super cute. So I thought it would be fun to make a little box with it. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Here's the dies. They have one with poinsettias. We're using this one with the pine boughs, and then this kind of little candy cane striped. Super cute. And then we're also using the solid, and you see it punches a hole out at the same time. All these have holes in them. And then we have the bow and the little reinforcer. Now I've already die cut just to save some time. So let me show you what I've got. I have two of the solid green, and I use shaded spruce. And then I used, I'm gonna remember the name, soft sea foam to cut, I love soft sea foam, to cut out my background. Okay, now to make this into a box, we need a box base. So I have this one. I'm gonna bring, this is my template, so if you wanna pause and take a screenshot of that or copy it down. It's 2 7/8 by 5 3/8. And then on the short side, I've scored it at 5/8 from either side. So that's how deep it's going to be. And then on the long side, I've scored it at 2 3/8 and 3. And then I've just notched my inside tab. So here's one that's already scored. Let me grab my scissors. So I like to cut when I'm looking at the bumpy side. So I cut on the outside of the bumpy, and I'm leaving these straight. Well, as straight as I can. I'm not cutting very straight. So these cut in straight. Those are the sides of our box. All right, and then I'm going to just notch my tab. I'm just trimming those corners off. Up to that corner right there. Okay, so that's all the cutting we have to do. So now we're going to hold on the score lines, and you always, the bumpy side of the score lines is always the inside. Okay, so we're going to fold in our little tabs. I'm using liquid glue. You can use tear and tape if you want. And then bring up the side and glue those tabs inside of there. Okay, and then we put our glue here on the inside of these tabs. And then bring that up on the outside and glue those to the side. Super easy to put these boxes together. Just give that a second for the glue to set. Okay, so you'll see this is where the side came over, so I always count that as the back. I count the smooth corner as the front. But we're going to glue this, we're going to glue one on each side. So let me just put a little glue here. I want to make sure it just slightly comes over the edge, but I want it flush with the bottom because I want it to stand up straight. If you get it hanging down too low, it's not going to stand up straight. And then we're going to glue one on the front, but I think it'll be easier to glue this on first. So I'm using liquid glue, but I'm doing it, you could have also used adhesive sheets, but I am just using a very thin amount of glue, just almost dots really, on the edges and then a little bit on the inside. All right, I'm gonna glue this to the tag, line up our edges and the hole, give that a good press, and then we're going to adhere it to the front of our box. Then I set it up, make sure my box is down so it stands up straight, just like that. And that, I mean, that's your box right there. Isn't that cute? Okay, now we have to do a little more decoration. So we are going to take, I've got a little circle die cut with one of the small circles from Stylish Shapes. And I'm using this sentiment. I needed a small sentiment, so I used the Branching Out stamp set. This is actually a bundle. I'm just using this, but you can use any small sentiment set that you have. And this says, sent with lots of love. Okay, using shaded spruce ink. And then out of this bundle, I lied, we did use this bundle because it had a pine bough, which it goes really well with that. So I cut a pine bough, and I'm actually going to kind of cut that apart and just cut the two ends off. And that has these cute little pine cones. Okay, so I cut two pine cones and then a pine bough and cut that apart. And I'm going to just use a little bit of glue here. I'm going to do one here. I don't want to interfere with my circle. Okay, and this is just to add just a tad bit of texture. Put one right here, kind of coming over the side. I'm going to pop up my tag. Right in the center, sent with lots of love. Cute. And then we're going to pop up, I don't know, maybe we'll use one, maybe we'll use two. I think maybe on my original box I used one, but I have this one I will use two since I had to. Let's tuck those in underneath. Isn't that cute? And what's going to fit in here? I have two of the little treat size Hershey bars, and they fit right in there. And I'm going to take a little bit of linen thread, thread it through my holes. I need to fold down my Hershey papers here. Let's thread this through this end. Whatever you can fit in here is what you can put in there. Okay. So I'm just going to tie these. I'm going to tie them in the front. You could tie them on the top. Use whatever ribbon you want, but I'm going to tie this one kind of coming in the front of this so I can see my bow a little bit better. Isn't that cute? Let's just trim the ends of our ribbon, mostly because this one's frayed a little bit. And you could use a thicker ribbon if you want, but isn't that cute? So easy. Once you die cut a couple, 4 pieces, no, 5, 6. Once you die cut all those pieces, it goes together really quickly. And these are great things because you can actually cut, I think 2 of these solid tags at a time. This one, you don't want to do more than 1 at a time. And then you get 2 pine boughs with 1. And I think there's even 2 of these little dies, the pine cones, 2 of the pine cone dies. So it actually goes pretty quickly, even with the die cutting. So I hope you enjoyed today's project. I will post measurements and supplies on my blog in case you would like to purchase these. Just remember, anyone who makes a purchase during the month online of $50 or more before tax and shipping will receive a kit of that month's card class projects. So thanks everybody for stopping by, and we will see you soon. All right, bye-bye.